in the lobby of the Peabody Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee, and it ends on Catfish Road in Pittsburgh, Mississippi. They also say that this Peabody Hotel has 13 stories, and that's not true. It has thousands of stories. Stories of visiting presidents consecutively, from Harry S. Truman to George W. Bush, of diplomats and dignitaries and monarchs. Stories of the big bands of the 30s and 40s, broadcasting live from the historic Skyway Ballroom up on the rooftop, and stories of the king of rock and roll, but also of anniversaries celebrated and reunions visited, and through it all, the Peabody Ducks have marched from the rooftop down to the lobby and back, and in so doing, they've woven the fabric which contains the names and the faces of the events that are the history of this hotel. It all started back in 1869 when Colonel Robert Brinkley realized his dream by opening a state-of-the-art hotel just 2 blocks from here in Monroe, in Maine, called the Brinkley House. It was to set the tone for cuisine and luxury in the South. Unfortunately, the Colonel's good friend and investor, Mr. George Peabody, passed away over in London about the time that hotel opened, and they changed the name to the Peabody in his honor. It went along there some 55 years at that location, hosting such luminaries as Teddy Roosevelt, President McKinley. Then on September the 1st, 1925, the doors opened to this beautiful, expanded facility we stand in today at the cost of some $5 million and a couple of years of construction. That's not the whole history of this hotel, folks. Not by a long shot, so if you get an opportunity, go up to the mezzanine level and check out our memorabilia room. If you go in there, you'll see a collection of names and faces, souvenirs of decades past. My favorite is a framed memo from Mr. Gary Dell, managing partner of the hotel, to the food and beverage director who is trying to change the menu over in Chez Philippe. And he told him, even though you have a French restaurant there better not be any duck on any menu at the Peabody Hotel. The tradition of ducks in the Peabody goes back a long way. In fact, to 1933, when General Manager Frank Scott and his buddy Chip went on a cold duck hunt into the chilly backwaters of the Mississippi and Arkansas. They knew it was going to be a cold day, so they took along as a companion, just for encouragement, a certain Jack Daniels. Otherwise known as fine Tennessee sipping whiskey. Well, after all, it was going to be cold. They needed a little encouragement, but as the day wore on, apparently they became a little over-encouraged. They began to feel it would be a funny idea to bring the live duck before it was illegal in Arkansas one day. Back here and release them in the fountain, and they did. Then they went off to their rooms to sleep it off. Well, the next morning, Mr. Scott was a little concerned about the mayhem that might have been caused due to his misdeeds the night before. After all, he was the general manager. So he rushed down to the lobby and he found 2 surprises. Number one, the ducks were still here. They hadn't flown off to see Beale Street, or to search for Justin Timberlake, or Al Green, or Bruno Mars. And number two, a group of tourists and guests had gathered. They were delighted with the frolicking ducks and the fountain of such a fine hotel. So, of course, they were given a couple of days reprieve, turned into a 19-year tradition. Well, in 1940, Edward Kimbrough was hired at the hotel as a bellman, but he was a multi-talented individual. In another life, he'd been an animal trainer with Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey Circus. He told management upon his appointment, if you'll let me, I'll take 5 North American downward ducks. 1 male and 4 females instead of these 3 English call ducks we have here. And I'll train them to march from the rooftop palace across to the elevator, down to the lobby level, across the red carpet and into the fountain. Every day at 11 o'clock and 5 o'clock, I'll march them back and put them to bed. Management didn't know what to think about that. They rolled their eyes, they looked at each other, they said, all right, Edward, give that a shot, see what you can do. And for 50 years, Mr. Kimbrough guided us from the rooftop down to the lobby. And in so doing, he became an ambassador of goodwill for the Peabody Hotel and for the city of Memphis. He appeared at such venues as the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, the Sesame Street program, where he and his ducks helped to celebrate National Rubber Ducky Day. And also did photo shoots in People and other magazines, such as Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition. where the Dutch discreetly showed very little wind. If I was the first one into Pembroke, I'd say that I've mastered what I've done with you. Management thought so, and so they bestowed upon Edward Pembroke the title of Duck Master. The world's first Duck Master here at the Peabody Hotel. Well, he's no longer with us today, folks, but Mr. Pembroke's spirit remains here in this lobby. And if you'll check out the southwest entrance to UV, there's a framed picture of he and his beloved ducks looking down on our ceremony today. That's a little history of the hotel, a little tradition of the ducks. All that remains is to play that John Philip Silva, King Cotton March, and march our 5,000 single file of the red carpet into the elevator en route to their palace on the rooftop. When the elevator door closes again in just a few moments, you too will be an eyewitness to the world famous march of the Peabody Ducks. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to the historic Peabody Hotel. At the center of the grand lobby, the point where the Mississippi Delta has been set to begin, stands the classic Peabody fountain, carved from one piece of Italian travertine marble. Although famous in its own right, the fountain is better known the world over because of its residents. If I may direct your attention to the fountain now, you will witness a tradition begun in the 1930s at the South Grand Hotel. An experience uniquely yours as a guest of the Peabody, preparing to return to their penthouse on the roof for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, the march of the world-famous Peabody Ducks.